Hey, it is just another day at the movies, baby, with
David.
Adam?
and Elliot. I'm gonna not click my pen this time because as I was editing the last episode, I realized when I was talking, I kept going like, and my mic was picking up the whole time. Like you guys probably didn't hear it because Discord kind of
No,
mutes it.
I
Oh,
heard it.
oh, you did? Yell
Oh
at
yeah.
me, please. Fucking yell at me
Shame.
because my ADD
Shame.
brain will just be like, blah blah blah. So like, just gonna get like some 15 more of these in to get them all out of my system now.
You just need to take the pen and throw it behind you.
The pen in
Writing,
my hand is royal blue, and he writes all over his
right into
face.
that mirror. You need to throw it right into that mirror.
I
Oh,
freaking, oh
bad
man,
luck.
oh my gosh. So I did finally think of, I guess this week it'll be my turn to come up with a movie idea. I have two written down. I mean, I still like the idea of David's movie of just uncontrollably exploding demons out your ass, but we'll save that one. That's a great idea.
Next time.
Well,
Yep, next time.
this one's gonna just trigger David because like the first idea I literally thought of just to trigger him.
Oh, fucking Christ. What is it?
So, you know how like of late it seems to be like the popular decision to remake things for another group of people in the light of, you know, people grew up with Star Wars and were like super big fans and were like could identify with Luke Skywalker, so it's like, hey, let's remake this. Not remake, it's technically a sequel, but we're gonna remake this, but instead of Luke, let's do a female. And it's like, all right, women empowerment. All for it. I like the movie. And they also did that for Ghostbusters, where it's like, hey man, let's make like a Ghostbusters for ladies because they need that too. Like, you know, I remember they said in Ghostbusters, you can't have women. It's like, that's never been a thing, but it got me thinking, like, with all the remakes and re envisions that are out there, there's one that I've just been teeming to see, and that is a Mr. Doubtfire.
Mr. Doubtfire.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Think
No,
about
you
it.
know what? No, hold on. I wouldn't. So, alright. Even though that movie's perfect,
Mm-hmm.
I would almost want to see how you play that off because now, if like I'm trying to cast it, so I'm like, okay, you have a super uptight dad who's just kind of falling out of love with his wife. The wife's the
Ah,
funny, goofy one.
this is where you're mistaking it.
Oh shit! What?
It's flipped around, man. It's
What do you
not a
mean?
goofy dad, it's a goofy wife that's trying to win her kids back from a dad who took them away.
No,
And so
that's what I'm saying.
she
Like the
dresses like a
uptight dad.
man. So she's flipping it and she'll dress like a man nanny or like a man, like,
Man, yeah.
yeah, to like try and take care of the kids while.
No, I'm with you on that. In my mind, I got that as soon as you said it, but I'm trying to figure out like, all right, first thing I'm like, how do you cast a female
Mhm.
that's gonna be that funny that could pull that off? Because women
Um,
aren't funny. I'm just
well,
kidding,
there's like,
but there are some funny.
I mean, if you think about, I like female actresses that could probably play a role. I'm trying to think of people who are young because, like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, like a Molly Shannon, Janine Garofalo. What's the one from 40-Year-Old Virgin? That was the chick who masturbated in the bathtub.
Elizabeth Banks.
Elizabeth Banks. Like people
Yeah,
like that who are like really funny. I don't want a Melissa McCarthy. I just watched her in that Thunder Force.
I
It's
didn't watch that
it was
yet.
actually
I heard
pretty
it.
okay.
It
I,
was all right.
Yeah.
I heard it's kind of just mixed. It's just wasn't anything
Yeah,
special.
but like there were some like Jason Bateman is what keeps that movie afloat.
Oh, Jason Bateman's in that.
Oh yeah, he's
Yeah, he has
awesome.
what,
Okay.
like lobster hands or something.
Yeah, he's a half man, half lobster. It's
I
amazing.
mean, Jason Bateman's always funny. I don't think there's a movie that he's
Teen Wolf
done that was a
2.
comedy. Well, I don't know. That was a comedy. I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
Boxing werewolf Jason Bateman. What's the problem?
No, no, right? But no, I
Yeah.
so like there is like I said, there is possibly a market for, and if we don't like Mr. Doubtfire as a movie we try to write, I do have an original idea movie that I thought of a concept for. Uh, that is called Dig, and it is essentially a movie about a dude with dementia who is digging in his front yard like every day, and his caretaker, like what are they called, the hospice workers, the people who
Something
like
like
take
that,
care
yeah.
of people who don't like
Yeah.
have family or whatever, is like working with him, right, and trying to figure out like, all right, well, I gotta make sure this guy takes his medicine. I guess like digging in the backyard is not a big deal. I'll let him do that. And because he has like dementia and shit, like the guy just doesn't think anything of it. And then when you ask him, the guy's like, "Well, I'm just digging to see like what like if I can get to the other side of the earth." And they're like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like, and eventually he's digging and digging, and then as the guy gets to know him more, my thought is he explains to him, "I'm digging to prove that everything is a simulation, and I'm trying to find the end of the simulation. Like I'm trying to find a barrier where I can't go any further." And like basically at the midpoint of the movie, I want it so he digs so far deep, all of a sudden it like pierces, and there's a bright white light of just like flat surrounding, and the guy's like, "Holy shit, this guy's not crazy. We are in a simulation." So that was my other movie idea. Again, I have no idea how to write that one. That is just like a brain thought movie when I was training my replacement at my former job.
I mean, I fuck with the idea, but only if the hospice worker is Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf.
If Shia LaBeouf plays that character, then I'll watch it. I'll write it. I'll play with it.
I was between that and David Quaid, the dude who plays Huey Campbell in The
Oh,
Boys.
God.
Dennis Quaid's son. I love that
That
actor.
you love that actor?
I think Huey Campbell is a great character.
Yeah, but I don't know about him as an actor though. I'm kind of I don't enjoy the flooded market of the mongoloid 6'2" and up
Skinny dude.
neurotic. Yeah, the neurotic string bean. I'm over the neurotic string bean thing. Like I don't know who that's supposed to be for, but it's not for me. I'll just put that out there. Like I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that
Mm.
the neurotic string bean all of a sudden is like, look at me. Here to save the day. Like, no, you're not. How come the guy who never saves the day is a straight up badass anymore? What happened to fucking?
Like
What
the
happened to the
80s. The
just the
Steven
Steven?
Seagal.
Yeah, where are the
No.
Steven Seagals? Where are my Steven Seagals
Where
at?
my
That's what
Chuck
I'm trying to
Norris
figure out.
at?
Yeah, where are my Chuck Norrises, my Steven Seagals? Like I'm missing them. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that there's no like actual badass heroes anymore, and instead it's just somebody out of circumstance where they're like, "Well, I guess I can do it." Like, come on, be cool.
Well, you got
Be a,
like Keanu Reeves, but are you talking like a younger person who could just pass as a badass? Because like
yeah,
when I
for
think,
those roles in general, just for those roles.
I mean, when I think of like action stars now, you basically have the cast of the Fast and the Furious type. I mean, let's be honest, Vin Diesel's the only one, The Rock, and then Jason Statham, the big three of late. Then you got Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, for sure.
I wish Justin Long would have kept going for the Die Hard series.
I I like Justin Long's shit. He always comes through with something really good no matter what. He's a really solid actor. I feel like he's kind of underrated.
Him and like Elijah Wood. I think Elijah Wood is somebody who should be in an action film just because like realistically he has that scrappy like he's little but he has a scrappy build to him, you know what I mean? Like he's just like a small dude. Like he looks like he could have been a boxer, but like not like a good boxer, just like an amateur boxer.
The you know what would be a
Uh,
you know what would be a great
You don't
idea
think
for a
so?
movie with Elijah Wood actually? I feel like you're missing the mark. Why don't you make a movie with Elijah Wood and Daniel Radcliffe where they Freaky Friday each other but nobody notices and nobody cares?
Like the meme of Spider-Man pointing at Spider-Man.
Exactly, but it's just Elijah Wood and
yeah.
Daniel Radcliffe and they just assume each other's careers if they haven't already.
Mm, I mean, it happens.
They're the
Who
same person
Well, who
basically.
could be like the next big like action star? I mean,
Oh, I have an answer for that.
who's that?
Zac Efron.
Yeah, but I don't think he even wants to like act anymore. Like, I mean,
What do you mean? I think he has like movies every year though. I feel like
aren't
he's
they kind of like
consistently
the
putting out a
same
movie.
roles though?
I don't think so, because like if I think like so you have like where he went goofy and did like The Neighbors, right?
Mm-hmm.
You kind of have that ballpark of films, and then trying to think what else. Like Baywatch was similar, but at least that character, I don't want to say it had depth, but I feel like they were trying to do something with that. Like
Mm-hmm.
character he's trying to play, it wasn't just totally to be goofy. You know, they had a reason that he was doing what he was doing. That movie had a weird balance of comedy and then action. Like I just because you know you had The Rock, you had Zac Efron, they took that in a really strange direction where it was still funny, but it still had some really cool action scenes. It's kind of like almost like what 21 and 22 Jump Street did, but I think
Mr. Channing
Baywatch did it a
Tatum.
little better. Those are good movies though too, but I just think Baywatch hit it a little bit better because they actually focused more on those
Well, then F it.
action
Let's
sequences.
think of think about it. Let's think about an action movie that just hasn't been done. Because most action, because have the Fast and the Furious just become kind of like bank heist movies? From what I'm to understand, I stopped at 5, and I haven't convinced Chels that
So,
I clicked it again.
um,
Fucker, putting it down. I haven't watched it past 5, and I've been trying to convince her that we should watch them again. Like we should
I,
reopen
I
it.
mean, I feel you on that. I honestly haven't watched much past. I didn't. I stopped. I didn't see the one where Paul Walker dies in the series, where they have to like
Right
replace
out of
him
his
with like the
character.
CGI character that they did, where they like,
It
oh,
was
we
his
have him
Oh,
brother,
he's
and
his
they
brother.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what they did? I thought they literally like had a CGI thing with him and shit, and
Well,
I
they
forgot. I
did
don't know what it
what's it
is.
called, the face replacement on his brother, because him and his brother looked very similar, kind of
Okay,
like how James
Yeah.
Franco and his brother Dave Franco kind of look similar, but not exactly.
gotcha.
So they did the face replacement on him, but they did it like it looks really bad. Like I remember seeing the clip of it in the car, and he like turns his head, and he's like, and it kind of just doesn't work. Like it they just I don't think they took the time. I think on the Blu-ray they corrected it, but the theatrical version it was kind of like fucked up. But
Yeah,
yeah, like an original an original action movie is hard to come by these days. It seems like most of them are kind of John Wick rip-offs because that was like the newest big action movie. And then you had in the 80s
everybody's
and
doing
90s
that.
like the
Yeah,
Die Hard rip-offs. Um, I want to see like a Jackie Chan style like Rumble in the Bronx. Like, have you ever heard of that movie?
of course. Who hasn't seen Rumble in the
Yeah.
Bronx?
With the fucking kid in the wheelchair, and he's like, "My cushion." It's got jewels in it, like stolen jewels, and Jackie Chan's just working at his uncle's grocery store. But like, that's what I mean. Like, you just need this. Like, I would love to see those action movies where it's just a dude who's like somehow really good at martial arts, or like, you know what I mean, like a tactical fighter. In this case, like it seems like every action movie the person was like, I was in Iraq, I did like 6 tours in Iraq or something, and they work at like a grocery store for a family member. Like set that movie up where it's like dude works at a grocery store, it keeps getting robbed or something in the ghetto, and then the action dude's like, I'm gonna stop the big boss who runs all of the gangs in this town type action movie. Those ones were like the greatest. Like that was like every
That's like
90s movie.
they did stuff like that recently too. So like when I think of the '90s into the 2000s, or that like one of those movies was what was it called? I think it was like Walk Tall or whatever. The one like the first fucking like Dwayne the Rock
Oh,
Johnson
and he
movie
has
where
the
he like
shotgun on the cover. He's like,
no, it wasn't a shotgun. No, that I think that's the rundown.
Yeah.
The Walking Tall or Walk Tall, whatever the
Walking
fuck it
Tall.
was like he had like a 2x4 that he fashioned
Yep.
into a baseball bat,
oh,
and
Yeah.
he was just walking around beating the shit out of everybody with it.
was that the one where he became a sheriff?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yes.
I remember that. Yeah, like those movies. Like we need more of those. Or like I remember,
Shit, that's Roadhouse right there, man. That's fucking Roadhouse, pretty much.
what was another one from the the one I think the one you said was the
Love
Sean William
Roadhouse.
Scott and The
And
Rock.
The Rock. Yep.
That fucking one. I forget what that
Yeah,
one was even called.
that's the rundown.
That's the rundown. Yeah, where
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
had that
yeah,
scene where they're like literally rolling through the woods forever, and
yeah.
then
Yeah.
into a waterfall. Apparently, the stuntmen for that, like the stunt coordinator, found a hill and we're like, all right, guys, we're gonna film this. And normally, when you do those stunts, you're hooked up to a wire rig that directs you to where you need to go. And then, like for all those crazy flips and spins, that's all cable managed, and you land on like a soft landing. So like they basically have a cable that slows you down right when you're about to touch the ground. But they didn't have that there because it was in South America. and they were like, the stunt coordinator just was like, all right, I'm gonna roll down this hill and I'm gonna try and find a path where you guys won't get hurt. And then I need you stunt people to do that. So he straight up just jumped, like, that is real people getting fucking hurt as they're rolling down this hill and just like making their way all the way to the bottom. They like broke, I think they said like the stuntman broke an arm, like one broke an arm. They both had broken ribs, and like the one broke his foot.
Oh,
And
I
like,
know about broken
Holy
feet.
cow.
That shit hurts.
I was like, that's insane. But that's what I mean. Like, I love those style movies, so maybe we got to write something like that. Like, oh,
Get in
good,
on
a
that.
bounty hunter movie. We haven't had like a bounty hunter movie in a while.
I love a good bounty hunter.
Like,
I mean, like The Bounty Hunter with Gerard Butler. Nah,
no,
just
no,
fucking
no,
around.
no.
What a terrible movie.
Or
Gerard
Gamer.
Butler makes some change. He makes some odd fucking decisions, man. How do you make a movie like Law Abiding Citizen and make The Bounty Hunter? Or what the fuck was that movie with him and Katherine Heigl? It was like a love game or some
Oh, I
bullshit,
thought you
whatever
were
the
talking
fuck they
about
called it.
the one where the kid plays the video game and controls him.
What's that called? That was not, yeah, no,
Oh,
that's a gamer. That's the gamer or
Yeah,
whatever, isn't
Gamer.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he also has a movie called like Bounty Hunter where he plays a fucking bounty hunter who has to go arrest his like ex-wife or some shit.
Ooh, we could like, or do you remember Mr. and Mrs. Smith with
That
Angelina
movie's great.
Jolie? That was
yeah,
one of the
great movie.
best movies. Like, it probably has so many faults. I bet it's actually not that great of a movie, but from my memory, I remember seeing that and just being like, what charisma like they both carry in this movie,
Actually,
that they're believable as like not just like a married couple with problems, but they're believable as like they could have been assassins, like, you know what I mean, just the way they held guns and reacted. Except for like, I know they had the classic like they're shooting a full like magazine and there's no recoil. But
actually, you know what reminds me a lot about that movie?
what's that?
So that's one of those movies where I was just like, all right, cool, guns. Yeah, I like guns and shit. But I didn't really know a whole lot about guns at the point because I was still pretty young.
Mm-hmm.
We were probably what, like maybe 12 when that shit came out,
12
13
or
tops,
14, that
something in that
range.
ballpark. And I'm watching the movie, right? And you remember the scene where they're having dinner and they both like instantly realize that
They
they're
know each
both
other,
like
yeah.
assassins and shit, and they're like, "Oh, I have to kill this motherfucker." And she like I forget where she gets her gun. She gets her gun, but then Brad Pitt goes to get his, and it's like in the wall safe behind the painting,
Mm-hmm.
and he like goes behind it,
Hers is in the
and I was
kitchen, like in a
yeah,
cupboard.
yeah,
It's
that's
like a
right. It was
cookie
somewhere in the
jar.
kitchen. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, and then when Brad Pitt goes to get his, and it's in the fucking wall, it was a brand new gun, still in the box, and I looked at it and I was like, I'm like legitimately watching this. I was like, guns come in boxes? And I looked at my brother. I was like, "Do guns come in boxes?" And he's like, "You fucking idiot. What do you think they come in?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, you know what? You're right. What else would they come in? Of course they come in a box."
That was one of the first movies that I saw double loading the shotgun underneath.
Oh, the tack loading and shit,
Yeah,
like
like
shoving up 4
I
fucking
would
rounds at once.
I would love to learn how to I've established my second gun's gonna be a tactical shotgun, and I'm gonna learn how to do that because that is the coolest thing where you hold two shells and you just go. Well, you technically have four, but you
Yeah,
do
you have 4 and
two,
you
and
zoot
then
2 and 2. Yeah.
you all of a sudden have 4 rounds. And if you have a 12 round, shotgun, you just do that 3 times, and it's like you're fully loaded. That's fucking awesome. I
No,
was like,
yeah, it's badass, man. I've done it once, but the shotgun that my buddy had, it only held 3 rounds, so
oh,
it was just 2 plus 1 in the chamber. So we'd
mm-hmm.
rack in 2 real fast, and then load it, and then stick in another one. It's actually as long as you have something that's at least a 20 gauge or a 12 gauge where the shells are substantial that you can hold in your hand. But I will tell you this: if you haven't shot a 12 gauge shotgun before,
I have
those they're pretty hefty. 20 gauge, not a big deal. Obviously, like 410, where it looks like a little fucking like tampon,
a
nothing to
12
worry about.
gauge. The thing I learned as a kid is you'd think the recoil's like this, but it's like this.
Yeah, it
And
kind of
like
comes up on
it,
you.
yeah, like the design of the gun is literally to take, instead of dislocating your shoulder, it's to fling it upward. And it's a genius. Like, they haven't changed it for years, but you know what I mean. It's a cool thing. But hey, I'm getting distracted. I do think we need to like think of like the perfect plot of like action films, like to embody those our classic childhood action films. Because I'm trying to even think what some of the fucking things are. Like the '80s ones are always like Sylvester Stallone and Arnold, where it's like it's a dude who either was in war or a dude who just like happens to, oh, I got mixed up in this thing. I also end up having to be like a really jacked dude who's good at shooting
Or
one-handed.
you were potentially a kindergarten cop.
Mm-hmm.
True. True.
Who's your daddy and what does he do for a living?
Yeah, I love that scene.
It's just like it's fucking great. But yeah, I don't know. Like, where would we even begin? I
Just
say,
from a scratch for a scratch action movie, right?
mm-hmm,
I guess you have to decide first. Like one of the biggest things in action movies is always multiple locations.
mm-hmm.
So you got to decide is this going to be international or local. That's your first bet. Like, are you taking this on the road, or are you taking it within like a few states of each other or some shit, or just within the U.S.?
I would say in the U.S., like a few states. Like if I
That
were,
makes it easier at least.
y-
That's a good start. We're cooking now. So then next, should we make it? Is this action? Is it going to involve the government, or once again, are we going local and it's going to be like a hometown problem?
I feel like hometown problems are always like the easiest believable thing
Yeah,
because
hundred
like if you have
percent.
like say like
Yeah.
a crime like in a major city, to think that somebody like the organized crime in the major city is something that a normal, like in this case normal person can bring down is such like horse shit. Like I like the idea of like the guy grew up in this town, was away for a while, comes back, and the town has went to shit type of story.
Walking Tall.
That's Walking Tall.
Son of
Yeah,
a
pretty much. Yeah, that's pretty much Walking Tall.
bitch.
I
God
mean
damn
that
it.
brings me. I mean that brings me to the route that I told you before, which is how I even was like, "Yo, we should do the podcast with something like this." I was like, I think it'd be sick to do a movie based in Utah and have like
Mhm.
a bunch of corrupt Mormons with some guy who's just trying to like get somebody out. Like I don't know how you would do it yet. Maybe like 'cause honestly, Mormons are crazy.
Mhm.
Mormons are on some bullshit with all their child labor and everything else in closed communities. Like
All of their
there's
wives.
yeah, all their wives in closed
Fucking
communities and
man.
everything else, daughter swapping and everything else. Like there's so much shit that you could touch there that I thought would be sick. And I've always thought maybe like a runaway woman would be great. Like a woman who runs away and maybe she doesn't get far away, but she might have a thing for one of the guys.
Atomic
It could be
Blonde.
in Utah. What's Atomic Blonde? I never watched it to be honest.
It's
I
like the
know that
female
Yeah,
John
I've never
Wick
seen it.
that's what I thought because
with
they did.
Charlize
Well,
Theron, I think.
and then they did one with what's her name? Right? There's another version of it.
Yeah,
There's
Black
the
Widow. Anywho.
yep,
No, I think
fucking
I do like the idea. So what you could do is like how about it's a dude meets a girl online. So like we go even broader term right now.
right.
We'll say it's like an ex-military dude meets a girl online, like a dating app, and like they've been talking to each other for a while, and she's like, "Hey, you know, come visit me and stuff." Like he wants to visit her to get engaged. Like they've been talking online for a very long time, and he's like, "Fuck yeah, I'm gonna propose to this girl," and she's in Utah, and he's like, "All right," and he doesn't like she's never told him about like I'm a member of the Mormon Church and all this stuff, and he gets there. And he's getting ready to propose, like he's gonna propose to her, and she's been like keeping it a secret, and like to the point where like they meet at a hotel and they're staying at a hotel, but like the church finds out and like they take her away and then they threaten him and he's like, "What?" And then like the type like where they beat the shit out of him, like a bunch of them like beat him up or something. And so he's like, "What the fuck?" And then he basically it's him trying to find her type of situation, but like the whole town would be against him in this case cuz it's a Mormon community and he doesn't realize it.
Exactly. It literally is the entire town. Yeah.
So it'd be like a film basically about this dude, this ex-military dude, trying to rescue this girl from the Mormon church. And I would love to, I would love to have a scene where like it's like the church and he and it'll have to be like a setup where like he has a cross or like a bow and arrow in this case or something like I would love to see a scene where like he pins a dude to like a cross almost with like bows or something and just like that's like the scene is like that's right before he takes her or something. I'm just
Be
like
pretty
pins a
tight.
motherfucker. I think it could be
I
a
will
cool
say this:
idea.
I don't know that we could go with the Mormons.
Yeah, so we'll have to change it.
We'd have to make up some kind of like
Davidian
cult kind of
church
thing,
thing.
but it would be
What are you talking
something
about? That's
similar to that.
what are you talking about? That's Mormons.
Yeah, but you also don't
Yeah,
want the
but
heat of that.
No, I want
yeah,
that heat. I want that heat.
What about the Normans?
I don't.
The Norman. Don't worry about it. Sorry, I'll take your heat for you.
We'll call them the
Okay, you can have
Norman,
my heat.
the
Yeah,
Norman
I'll take your
Church.
heat. I'll take double the heat. I'll take all the heat if you want.
How about, I'll do it the same way I covered us in the last one. Like when I said voodoo, when we were using voodoo, it's a derogatory term. Mormon's a derogatory term in this case. we'll say,
That's what's
we'll
that's
say
what's up. That's what's up.
church affiliate group. And
That could be anybody. I'm very Pacific here. I'm very Pacific with my words, and I don't like to be censored.
but I think yeah. So like, let's line it up. Let's line it up. We'll say like the dude's name's Arthur.
Arthur.
I don't know. Arthur was just a
Arthur.
name of pulled out of
Oh
thin air.
shit! Save me, Arthur. Yeah, right.
I don't know. What
Arthur.
name would you use?
Not
Like
fucking Arthur. Like
Quinn?
maybe like Dick Steele or something. You know, something
Dick
great. No,
Steele.
Dick Steele. I don't know. That's
Like
think
save
something.
me, Darius. I don't know. Like you know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, he's black. It's Darius Rucker,
Darius Rucker.
and he's like, I just wanted to make country music, and you guys ruined it.
um. I mean, I think we gotta think of like maybe his name could be like oh man, I'm thinking of like nah, I don't know. I went such white name. I was like George. No, that's not gonna work. What's like a
George
powerful name like Flynn?
Flynn.
Yeah,
That's not powerful because as soon as I think of Flynn, I think of fucking Heisenberg's kid. I'm Flynn. Call me Flynn, you pussy.
I
Like
fucking.
it's not strong.
Oh my god,
Troy.
Troy. Troy could actually
Troy.
Troy would be a good name. So like Troy Jackson. Um, I don't know. We'll just use the
Last
name.
name doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Just Troy for now.
Yeah,
Sergeant
Troy's
Troy.
good.
Goes to meet like I almost said Veronica, but I don't know. Veronica. Huh?
Sure. Yeah,
I don't
that's
hate it.
that's a good enough female name. I believe that somewhere in Utah there's a girl named Veronica who wants to get out.
But so let's say like they've been talking online. The whole beginning of the film is just like it'll be like as the credits are rolling, you just see like it's him sitting like we'll have credits going on like the right side of the screen, and then it has like you know how our Discord's kind of squared off, and you see the images like on one side it's him and then her like they're FaceTiming, and then no sound of like their conversation, but just the credits rolling, and then like you can show like clips of messages they're sending back and forth, and finally it's one where he's like, "Oh, I can't wait to come out to see you," and she's like, "Oh, I'm so excited to finally see you too," and he's like, I'll have a big surprise for you when we finally meet," and she's like, "Oh yeah, blah blah blah."
That Dirk.
And then like the opening credits would just be him like on the plane, like just reading a book about Utah. Like you know what I mean? Something so stupid. Like he's just like
Yeah,
clueless as to what it's like.
yeah, because you got to give the viewer the rest of the clues, because obviously you have to give them an insight as to what he's going to be running into and
Hmm.
why. You can't just drop him in Utah and be like, "Why are the Mormons crazy?"
But then like
They'd be like, "This reason."
you have like a scene too where like he's sitting like window seat, and then like he like there's like like a shaking of the plane or a scuffle, and then you look up and he sees like 4 or 5 people dressed the same. Like you know what I mean, like the same outfit sitting in different parts of the plane. He's kind of looking around like, what the fuck? Like, why are all these people dressed like this?
Oh, you mean like white shirt, black tie?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like you know what I mean. Like they're dressed exactly
Yeah.
alike, and they all kind of
Yeah.
look the same. And he kind of just was like, the fuck? Like this is weird.
The
Or
fuck is
half
this?
the plane looks like that or something. You know what I mean? Like it just dawns on him. He's
Yeah.
like, okay. And then like he lands, and he was expecting her to like be there, but then she texts like, "Hey, sorry I couldn't make it. I'll meet you at this spot." And like he has the address, and of course takes a taxi there, type of situation. And like as they're driving through the town, he starts like looking around and seeing like a lot of people on bikes, and like a lot of you know closed like failed businesses, but like a lot of independently owned businesses. You know what I'm talking about? Like there's no big chains. Like he starts realizing like, oh, this is like a small town. There's no big chains. There's fields, and like there's a huge fucking church like in the middle of the town that they have to go by, because I'm assuming like there's an airport. You drive through this town, and then it's on the other side of the town. The whole other side of the town is where this motel, hotel, or whatever is like pretty far out there away from the community, so people
Okay.
don't affiliate it,
Yeah.
and that's where they meet. And I think it would just be like great, like they spend one day together, and he's like, "Oh, you should take me around the town." And she's like, "Oh, you don't want to go there," like blah
Yeah,
blah
you
blah,
don't want
like
to do that.
makes an
This town,
excuse,
nah.
and it's just like, well, how about tomorrow? Like she promises like tomorrow we'll go out and check out the town. He's like, "Oh, all right." Like you kind of set it up so like you don't know it's gonna be an action movie at first. It kind of seems like a romantic drama type movie, and then like night one, like they spend the night together, and there'll be like a scene where it's dark and they're laying on the bed, and you see like silhouettes of people walking outside the window, and then like a shot of like the door, and there's feet at the door, and someone tries the handle like quietly and realizes it's locked. Then a loud bang, and they wake up and nobody's there. Like they check the door, no one's there. Type of situation. That's as far as my brain took it so far. I like, and then the next day it'll have to be like, I don't know. He wakes up and she's gone, and then like she'll text him or something like later on throughout the day. Like you have to make it so like the first day he kind of like explores on his own, and they can't be seen together.
I think the lead up would be pretty good. So in that circumstance, they're going to be at the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
I would put it maybe just outside of town where like probably they wouldn't expect to be seen by anybody,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
that's my idea. Like,
maybe just give the hotel clerk, the one who's checking them in, like she's like, oh shit, like what are you doing here? And find out it's just some some kid she knows or went to school with, whatever, however old the guy is, and then he's just kind of like, hey, Veronica just showed up with some stranger at the hotel on the
yeah,
outside of
like,
town. You
well,
might as
that's
well
what you'll
check it
find out
out.
later. Is like that dude will be like, whenever she finally like disappears. Like, we'll have. I don't know if should we have a scene where like he fully gets beat up and then she's taken, or should we have a scene where like he's in the shower, she answers the door, and then is just taken, and he comes out and like the door's open and like she's just missing.
No, go yeah, no, okay, so I like that. So no, go full like gang shit on it. Have a small
Yeah.
confrontation from there. Let them know that they've taken her. Have it, Mormons drive a lot of pickup trucks. Like have like 3 or 4 big ass trucks there. Have a couple of them take off. Leave like 3 or 4 dudes behind her. Like we're gonna make
Oh,
sure
so
you
he's
leave
in the
this
shower
town.
and comes out to them.
To that bullshit, and then he's like, "Bitch, you don't even know who I am." And then he just in the towel murders like these 4 dudes. And not just murder them, but just
It fucks
destroys
him
their
up.
life.
Like
Yeah,
just like
like. And maybe just maybe for our female viewers, because if we're gonna do this and put a
some
little love
Yeah.
dong.
into it, he's gonna
Heck
hang
yeah.
dong because the first guy he's gonna whip in the face with his towel and like smack him in the eye, and then just like bam, got him, and then he's gonna like start beating ass real
Well,
quick.
even them, like I don't think I would look at it like these dudes are gonna have like those sticks, because I feel like they wouldn't like. So in my mind, this movie we can do this movie without guns for like probably the first 90%, like the first 50% of this movie will have no guns, like no gun violence, just like physical like altercations. And then when like the numbers, like when it's the whole town against him, that's when it's like, oh, I have no fucking choice but to use guns, just because they'll like we'll make it so they fire the first shot, and this guy's like, I mean, he's a soldier, so like PTSD type shit, where he's like, I assume he doesn't want to kill innocent people. Like he's a normal person, but there'll just come a time where he's like, all right, I'm getting fucking shot at. I'm gonna have to start shooting back. Like takes a gun type situation. But I'd love the idea. Like these guys, he comes out of the fucking shower like with his towel, and he's like, "What's up, babe?" And like she's not there. There's just 3 dudes, all dressed alike. 2 of them have like sticks. Goes up to the one dude, just whips him in the face, and the other dude comes in with like the baton. He wraps the towel around it and like disarms him, and like I would love that.
No, I fuck with that. I like the idea. I think you could do a lot of cool shit, just like getting into the towel, making it real weird, making it real funny, just doing like it's kind of funny, it's kind of weird, but at the same time, you're
Mm-hmm.
like, yo, that naked man just beat up 4 grown men. Respect.
Or
And then you hang dong.
do you want? Well, here's the other kicker you could do. It's he's fighting 3 dudes, and then like right
Mhm.
when he steps out the door, like the head dude comes around the corner and just fucking decks him and like knocks, like has a ring on and just fucking straight up knocks our dude down, like not out but down, so he's like woozy, have that woozy shot, and it shows like the guys all like are picking themselves up talking, and they lean down and tell him like, you have like 24 hours to leave this town, and never come back. And then like they drive off. And that's when he has to interrogate the fucking dude at the front desk, straight up naked with like a fucking ring mark on his forehead. Just walks up and just starts talking to this dude, being like, who were those people, like asking nicely at first, like, who were those people? And the guy's like, you all right? You look like hell. And then he just like fucking grabs him, just boom. Who were those people? Like, you know what I mean? Like, straight up starts interrogating this motherfucker.
You know, honestly, I think I'd go there, but I don't think I'd go with the hit.
You don't think
I
you'd go
honestly,
with like the knockout? You'd straight up
I
just
don't.
go like,
I'd have them leave with her,
mm-hmm.
and I think maybe make the fight crazy, eccentric, and dramatic, and maybe he really does have to like kill these fucking people. Maybe he doesn't have a choice. Maybe because at the same time, if you're out there in that country,
Mm-hmm.
I could see him having those batons and knives, and I think he's gonna. I really think he might have to fuck people up. He might want to.
Oh
He
no,
might
he's
want to commit some murders. Like he might want to. He might want to drop some people, and then once he gets through it, maybe with that whole like you get into the PTSD thing, you still have fight or flight, and
oh yeah.
there's a good chance that that fight he might end up fucking just working these guys over to the point where they're just fucking just bags of meat sitting on the ground. Like there's nothing he can get from them.
We could
While
switch
that other
it
guy
so he's not a
takes off,
soldier.
though, what would you want to do instead of a soldier then? Like what would you?
Cage fighter. I think UFC. I think you could do it a different way. Like if we don't want to like, so if we're down for the gun idea, we can bring in like he's a soldier. But if we want to flip it a different way, just make him say he was a boxer or a cage fighter, and that's why he doesn't use like he's just a martial arts person, and that's why he doesn't want to kill people because his mind is like martial arts and he knows he's capable of it. But then he's just left with no fucking choice. Because like we could go the gung fu aspect of stuff, like, or we can go like John Wick ground and pound without the guns.
I kind of like the idea of going with the John Wick, just because in that circumstance, when I think about John Wick, it has great pacing,
Mm-hmm.
and they keep the action flowing, so it never gets boring.
Yeah.
So I think a scene like that where you could have just like a moment of an ass beating and then walking away from bodies just to go up to the guy who he knew probably made the call, because who
Mm-hmm.
else would make the call to be like let him know or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that could, honestly, that could be part of it. So all right, so let's say maybe
Or he's both. He was a soldier who became a cage fighter. Like
little
he was a
mix.
soldier and then just was like, all right, I don't know what to, like he has a violent streak to him, but he just it's not like he likes hurting people. It's just who he is.
Right, he's just good at it.
Mm-hmm.
I would like that idea. Maybe so with the guy at the counter, call guy at the counter Earl at the fucking
Earl.
hotel, just fucking Earl, because every Earl needs his ass beat. Let, let's say maybe when the head guy's rolling out with the girl and he knows he's gonna have to take out the other guys and he's not gonna be getting her yet.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's like, make sure you give Earl his money or whatever, and he's just like, Earl, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Takes out those dudes and then like literally follow scene from there. Like he fucking destroys these guys. Then he's just like, Earl, just walks in the fucking room. He's like, Earl, why don't you tell me about your friend here? Why don't you tell me about these guys who just came in my room and tried to fucking kick my ass or murder me or whatever? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then literally that exact thing just cracks his fucking head right off the desk. Like, you don't know. All right. Boom. Just puts the fucking head to the
Mm-hmm.
table. And he's like, shit. All right. I've made a mistake.
And
I
then
will tell
like
you everything.
I think like takes Earl's keys because like he doesn't have a car, so he just takes Earl's fucking keys.
Oh, yeah. He's got Earl's whip now.
Yeah, it takes Earl's car. We'll say Earl drives like a classic like Ford Ranger, something like a small truck. You know what I mean? Like everybody else has like these fucking F-150 dualies and shit. Earl was driving a fucking Ranger or something even funnier. Like maybe he's driving like a tiny like oh fuck, what are those
A
like?
Prius,
No, even smaller. What are those other ones? Those not the
smart cars.
like yeah, like a smart car, like Nissan's tiny ass car. That'd be fucking awesome.
Give
He's
him a
just
fucking a Yugo, one of those little,
yeah, those
you know what I mean, the
little
little
guys.
Yugo. That'd be so dumb. He just like, where's your car, Earl? It's the Yugo out back. Like a Yugo.
Or fucking like an Omni, something so small, like just old school car.
Something silly.
Yeah, but I would love that. Like he's driving like a tiny piece of shit car, you know, because Earl clearly doesn't have good money.
Or it's in the summer and Earl drives a Vespa and he just fucking has to hop
Miata.
on his scooter.
Yeah. Oh
He
my
just
god,
gets on
yeah.
his scooter and shit and just just goes around town like, I'm gonna get these motherfuckers.
But I think like once you get to that scene where like he asks Earl like what the fuck, and then like like his first trip into town in Earl's clothes. Like he has like his clothes on because like you can't fly with a gun, so he's gonna have to find a way of
No.
getting a gun eventually. I think like
Right.
the first thing he'll take is like Earl has a baseball bat behind the desk. He takes the bat. You know what I mean?
Right.
Takes the bat, takes Earl's car, heads into town, and like when he first gets into town, like we'll say it's still nighttime, so like people like are you see the windows opening and stuff. Like people are shutting their windows, checking their blinds, and seeing him. And then like you'll see like a scene where people like pull out a walkie-talkie, and like it's like, oh, okay, that's when like he doesn't know that the whole town sees him and like knows that like, ah, this is that guy. But I'm trying to think. I don't know. What's something cool, Adam? Like you're the wild card here. You got to pull something
What would
thin
what would
air.
make you happy? Say titties.
I mean, obviously, yeah.
Yep. All right. We got titties on the board.
Well, there
I
has to
mean,
be a
they gotta
scene.
dump them out.
Yeah.
Dump them out.
Gotta be a dump out scene for sure.
Can there be a scene later where he has to find Earl again, but Earl's at the titty bar outside of town?
Well, here's the thing. In Utah, you're probably not gonna find a titty bar.
Yeah.
But what you could do in that scenario is we're talking about dudes with multiple wives. Of course, one of them's got to be having some crazy orgy shit going on with his 6 wives.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he has to confront one of these other guys for more information or whatever.
The dude's just
And he just
macking with
he
6
just
girls.
yeah, he just pulls up
Yeah,
to
he's
his fucking house at like midnight and he's just fucking trying to bang his 6 wives and they're all just hot. You know, why not fucking make them hot?
How about
Do the whole
yeah?
Yeah,
thing, get the titties
absolutely.
out.
So
Yeah,
that's
well,
the
of
first
course.
thing after he goes from Earl taking the car. He goes in town. He sees the truck. Like we'll say the truck had like a specific look to it, like
Yeah.
a license plate that said like you know
Be
faith
eating you.
forever, like FATH 4 and then EVR, like you know what I mean. And then
I'm
he's
with
like,
that.
oh shit, and he's scoping out this place. He sees like through the window this dude and like 6 wives and like a fucking double king size bed for all
Yeah.
of them, and like you know sneaks in and waits for everything to happen, and he shuts off the power, and the guy's like, what the hell? And then like when the guy steps out into like go toward the fuse box, just on the head, and interrogation 2, baby. Where the
I'm
fuck
with
is
that.
she? And like they see the car, like he doesn't realize the town's looking for him, like the town knows him, so you know they saw him go into that house. And that's when you have like the first confrontation where people show up with guns and just like
Right. They start taking it more serious.
yeah, and start like because
Yeah.
they're like, well, this guy just won't fucking stop, and like have like the scene where we'll say like I don't know because like it would be suburbans technically, right? Like out there's like cul-de-sacs of people, I would assume. Like it's a small town, but we'll say like there's like a suburb type atmosphere, like the 80s style suburbs where the houses all look alike and they're all like gridded out. So it's like obvious, like everybody there, their house looks the same, like they're of the same group. So they just see like this car sitting out front. They're like, well fuck, right there. It's
Yeah.
this guy's. And so they light it up. Just pop, 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 pop.
You know what would make me really happy in this movie as well?
What's that?
One of the things that I had learned about Utah, because I know a lesbian girl who actually lived in Utah and was part of the Mormon like community thing,
Mm-hmm.
and she told me out there, and I'm sure you may have heard this or even seen the Google Map images, that everybody in Utah has a goddamn trampoline in their backyard.
Yeah, I've seen that.
You've seen that? So how about a fucking chase scene where our like protagonist has to just jump and run through all of these
Okay.
trampolines through yards and yards and yards and yards, just escaping whoever the fuck or whatever the fuck is chasing him.
I,
Maybe in a fucking perfect world, maybe somebody's trying to run him down in like a big ass vehicle, and he's just like sprinting from yard to yard, jumping from trampoline to
I
trampoline.
have to look this
To
up.
get over the fence.
Yeah, exactly. Just jumping over the fences and shit. I feel like that would be fucking amazing.
I'm just
Yeah,
trying to
and-
find like a Google
and they,
Map
like,
image of it. Sorry.
A lot of them, they dig it into the ground.
In the
so
ground.
they're,
That's
like,
so far what I've
in
seen in
ground.
Yeah.
images is like they're dug
Yeah.
into the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all got trampolines. Like that would be fantastic. Like I just think that would be a really funny fucking moment.
Just a
to
scene
throw
where,
in there.
Or a
Because you could make it
sweet ass
badass because
fight
it's
on
still
the
trampolines.
trampoline.
Yeah, fight on the
like a
trampoline. And if it,
Superman punch in the air, like the dude, like a dude just goes to like jump up to Superman punch our dude, and our dude just like straight up just fucking uppercuts him, like
it'd
Yeah.
be tight. That'd be
just
great.
no hesitation, just like Muay Thai elbow the fucking dude out cold in the air.
Or if they're all in the ground too, if we go with the all in the ground style, just to try to keep it more authentic, because trampolines fucking bend down so much. Like every time somebody starts chasing him, if he had a gun or a knife or something, he like takes a plunge and then cuts the trampoline, so everybody who jumps on it next falls into the pit. They just get fucking stuck in these
Yeah,
trampoline pits and shit.
I mean that'd be fucking awesome.
That'd be funny.
That'd be, that'd be pretty great if we could figure out how to
Or
work that
oh,
in.
no,
That'd be
even
great.
better, when he captures people, he lifts up the trampoline, throws them underneath it, and
He
then
just
puts the
gets a
trampoline
pile of bodies in the
and puts
trampoline
them
and
underneath,
shit.
like or not, well, not even like dead people, like people he's gonna interrogate and
No,
shit.
yeah, just people in
Traps them
general. He's
underneath the
just
trampoline.
that. Oh my god, that'd be so good. I'd love to find out that like some of them have them like under like a lock and key type thing, and so you can like keep them from flying away in high winds or
Well,
something.
that's what
So
I
that they
mean.
just
Yeah, so like they like one that's just designed so like snakes and shit can't go underneath it and stuff like that,
yeah,
and
can't
that's
get any
like
critters under there.
or people like you like or in this case like nefarious means like people have like a little bunker underneath there for some
Were you
reason.
about to say people like you? What were you saying?
No, 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 no. I was trying to think. I was trying to think of the word to use. Yeah, people like you.
People
No.
like you. I was like, bruh, just because I flipped trampolines over back in the heyday doesn't mean you gotta bring it up.
Yeah, I would think that'd be dope. I think yeah. So like we got to think how many days this will go over. Like I think this is a solid 3 days movie. Like day one,
Yep.
he lands, has the great day. Day two is where like he explores the town by himself, and then later that night is when she gets taken, and like he gets the shit beat out of him, and then interrogation number one with Earl, then interrogation number
Right.
two with we'll say like Kyle
Sure.
or like
Gail.
Manson, we'll call the guy, or Mason, something like that. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what a traditional like name would be, but interrogates that dude like who has like the 9 wives, and that's when like the house gets lit up and shot up, and then you'll have like that scene where like you know he's like oh fuck he has to hide in this house that's like basically getting fucked up, and like we'll make it so like the houses are kind of spread out enough because like I want it set up so like they basically like torch this house thinking like he's dead in there, and then like it will be like over that night he finds like gun, I guess on his way out of there like he finds the dude's stash of guns and just like is like all right cool, I'll make a note this guy has like a safe room with guns in it, and the next day after the house is done burning down I'll sneak into there and like steal the guns. Or even better, like when he'll hide in the house and let it burn down a bit, and then the next day whenever that church has a people looking for him, and that's when he beats them up and takes their guns and traps them
Okay.
under the trampoline. We'll have a
They're
daytime
pretty good.
trampoline fight, and that's when like he starts trapping them underneath the trampoline and interrogating, like not interrogating but like essentially he's just like what the fuck is going on here. Then he has to go back to the hotel, like after he gets guns and like escapes. We'll say like only 3 people were sent to like make sure that he died in the fire, and he'll trap all 3 of them underneath the trampoline, take their guns, fuck them up. We'll have that epic scene where we'll have an epic scene where a dude like goes to like he's he jumps off the trampoline and gets to get away from a dude, and the dude following him jumps on the trampoline and like goes towards him like this, and then let's just fucking make it even more ridiculous. Our dude just just fucking caps at the dude like in the
Yeah,
shoulder, like the dude thinks he's gonna be badass and like punch our our dude, and our dude just like has one of the guns he fucking found and just like straight up shoots the dude in the shoulder, and the guy's just like oh and falls.
yeah, just instantly drops to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be great because honestly, if you do that, I'd make that like some type of like midpoint to towards the maybe a little bit out. I don't know, maybe midpoint, probably about the midpoint
Mm-hmm.
of the movie, and maybe make whoever's chasing him who gets capped like just some real asshole piece of shit, like a mini boss type character, and
Yeah.
bring him in and have him like just coming down on like I'm gonna get you, blah blah blah, just talking all that shit, doing all that bullshit.
we'll make him the dude who like we'll say like one of the first people he encountered in the town early on, like when he was off by
Right.
himself. Like we'll say he was at like when he went to go into a store or something, it was a dude who just shouldered him.
Right.
Will make it so it's like, oh, okay, the first like guy he encountered, and the guy who just shouldered him just goes, "You must be lost. Here, this might help you be found," and handed him like a pamphlet about like their church, like type of situation, or
That'd
like,
be I mean, that'd be a good line to lead off on, just on some dumb shit, just some real weird religious light shit. Just like, here you go. You look
mm-hmm,
lost. Might
just
help you be found. And just at the watchtower.
like just like straight up, but yeah, like he shoots this dude, and then like he like interrogates him about like the group, and like with the fucking bullet hole, like doing the classic like shove your thumb into the bullet hole type like thing. And then now we have it so he goes back to the hotel room to get like change his clothes and shit, and like sees Earl again and just starts asking Earl questions, and Earl's just like, "Don't fucking hurt me, man." Like I think that would be great. Earl's already been hurt too because of the church probably came back and like fucked him up, like overturned every room and shit.
It'd be great if Earl kept causing problems though too,
Oh
trying to
yeah,
like save his own ass by going to the church, and like our character just has to keep coming back and just
he's
like
Danny
smacking
McBride,
him around.
like in Pineapple Express, how Red
Yeah, he just
keep
keeps getting
Yeah.
fucked up.
yeah, like he's the Red.
There's literally nothing left, riddled with bullet holes and knife wounds, and he's just all fucked up. And he's just like,
Hmm.
I can't take anymore, please.
Please stop. Yeah, I just think it would be great. Like, and of course, like, so that's day two. Like, we get to the closing of day two, and he's just like, finally, he's like, all right, fuck it. Like, he's like gonna scout out the church because like he's like, there's only one place she could be at. Like after interrogating that dude with the bullet wound, the dude was like, nah, man, you're never gonna find her again. The church has her. Like, you know, they're not gonna just let her go. Like she will say like she's like head of the church's daughter, of course. The head of the church is going to be a dude who looks like fucking David Crosby from Crosby, Stills and Nash. Or nah, probably not. Like the mustache and like the long hair, but nah, I think he's going to be like a high and tight type of dude with like who seems so nice and polite, genuine. Like we'll make it to like you hear him on the radio all day, like evangelicus type, where he's always talking on the radio.
Oh, he's a David Duke character.
Yep. And I think yeah, you have the scene where you're scouting out the whole building, and he starts like realizing like, man, I don't think there's any good way of going about this. Like the town has to have like a small population, like maybe 150 people. Like you can't have like maybe it's like a 300 people town. You know what I mean? Like nothing crazy. You can't have it like over 1,000. Yeah, I mean.
You could.
Really? You think like this dude could stir up this much trouble in like a town with like a couple thousand people?
Well, obviously, I'm sure there's going to be some point where some people don't like the way shit's being ran.
Hmm.
Because you could
Yeah.
have the Mormons that are like just trying to live their lives, and then the crazy corrupt ones who do all the fucked up shit.
Yeah. But
If
I think
there are like normal Mormons who are just like, this is what I believe. Then there's the ones who are just like,
the
is
rich
she
ones.
is she 13? And you're like, yeah, I could fuck her. That's
Yeah.
awesome. God said if she wasn't ready to bleed, then she wouldn't be ready for me. So what do you think, Bill? Can I have your daughter? I'll trade you my next one.
Uh.
Not a, that's what they do.
uh
It's not a joke. It's hilarious, but it's not a joke.
I don't know. I don't do the
Yeah.
research. But
Oh,
all
I
right.
do the research.
All
I
right.
do the
So
reading and the research.
we'll make it so all right. There's the scene where the classic like scope out, figure out a plan, like set up booby traps, like
Titty
situation.
traps. Titty traps, you mean?
Yeah. In this case, yeah.
Yeah.
Then you have, of course, the final scene where it's the raid on the church, where it's basically him. I think it would be like him breaking into the church to try and like save her. But I want it to be like he does all this shit. Like we'll say like there's a body count of like 30 people, like in the church that he ends up killing. Like he kills like 30 people going through this whole church. Ends up being like a big old scene where he has to fight like you know enters the church first and foremost. Like it's the big opening area of the church, and like people are just sitting at the pews. Is that what they're called?
Yep.
Pews.
Well, I think that's the difference though too, because what you're describing is like Catholic Church.
Okay.
Mormon churches are like folding chairs in a fucking dining hall. You know what I mean? Like they have
Yeah.
weird shit. There's like
Yeah, but I'm
they
you're
don't
basing
have
it
that
straight up
craziness.
Mormon. I'm using Mormon as a derogatory term.
No, I'm using it specifically.
Okay, but
If
in
you're
this
gonna if
case,
you're gonna put it in Utah, you can't be like, oh my god, the evil
okay,
Catholics in
yeah, yeah,
Utah.
but I'm not gonna. I'm saying like you have to like think of like the Hollywood like type of atmosphere of just like you have to have like a structure to the building. But whatever, it doesn't matter either way. Like people just sitting in fucking chairs or whatever. But like when he enters the building, they're like, oh fuck, and like he's just like straight up immediately just ask where she's at, and that's when like somebody shoots at him, and like he's like, all right, I have no choice, like, and clearly I don't think assault rifle. I think like it's a pistols all
Yeah.
the way, and he just has like a shit ton of magazine. Like he's collected 3 magazines and like has a box of rounds, and like there'll have to be scenes, of course, where he's reloading, like actually reloading or finally taking magazine because I assume they all have the same type of gun. He'll take their magazines and just put them into his own gun, kind of
That'd probably work.
scenes.
You'd also, if you fall into that type of situation too, and you're in that room, gives you a great chance for him to like literally take folding chairs and beat people with them
Yeah,
and throw them,
I
and
think it'd be epic.
use them as cover. Like fold one up and just like maybe grab like two or three of them, so somebody's like shooting at him and shit. They can't get
Hmm.
through all the metal on the folding chair, and then he just fucking full on just destroys somebody with a shoulder check with the chairs.
Yeah.
Just takes them the fuck out, drops them, beats him up with a chair, gets all fucking silly.
And I'll have like you gotta have the scene too where like he finally gets through all that. He goes like there's a basement. He goes down to the basement being like, where are you, Veronica? Veronica, and like the head of the church person's down there is like, why do you think we would keep her here? Like he just like is like baffled that like the dude would think like they would keep her here. And like it turns out she's at the house, like she's just been trapped
Yeah.
at the house. So he's like off, so like he's in, the lion's den, and they're closing the doors now type of situation where he's like, fuck, I'm gonna have to fight my way out of here. And like the guy's like, yeah, this was a trap the whole time. Like you would think we'd bring her here, like you're an idiot, this is where we all come. And like even that guy like will make it so like he goes to hurt him, and like the guy gets away type of situation and is making a break for the house, and then leaves him to fight like even more people, fights them, makes his way out, like pretty fucking hurt at this point because like think about it, like you just fought like 30 people, you maybe fought like 10 more that were just came from the basement, and he's just trying to make his way to the house, like figure out where the house is. In comes like another dude from the church who doesn't want anything to do, like a dude who like wants to revolutionize the church and not have that guy in charge, and is like, look, I'll give you a ride there, but I don't want to know what happens. I don't want anything to do with it. Like he's
Right.
just trying to be a good person. And we'll make that like, how about the dude who shouldered him earlier, like had people following him like lackeys, and this is like the younger dude who was like in the back that said sorry. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
I
just
gotcha.
just like a random dude who's in the background who just makes like the appearance of like, hey, sorry, we're not all like that. Like there's just a hierarchy. And then
Okay.
cue the scene, of course, where like he shows up at the dude's house, and like the girl's like, you shouldn't be here. Like we'll have it too set up so like he enters the house, there's kids there, the guy has his wife or whatever, it doesn't matter, and then she's just up in her room, and like the dad's like calls to her to come downstairs. Like the dad's just sitting in the living room, is just like, do you really want her? And the guy's like, really fucking her, and he's like, yeah. And like he calls her downstairs, and she just looks at him like she hasn't been, like, she's captive, but she's not captive, she's brainwashed, you know what I mean? Like so have like the dramatic scene where he's like, what the fuck, like what is wrong with her? And
I think that'd be a great point too. So all right, so if we have her doing all this, right?
mhm.
Is this gonna be like one of the like did she get married off to a husband then? Is she gonna have multiple wives with her as well? Or like what's her situation at this point for that then? That's one thing I'm curious about now because obviously we have her, so like is she supposed to be like maybe she's like this super stunning hot girl.
Hmm.
Obviously,
Yeah.
the head guy wants her because he's like, I'm gonna fucking make babies with that chick. But then
Well, I think she's the
maybe
daughter of the
somehow
head
she
dude, but
you wanted daughter
I think
daughter. You
yeah.
think?
So like I think like that's his oldest daughter's pride and joy type situation, and like you know she's just like she wanted out, but like he's been like forcing her to stay, and like it's kind of like that what's that Stockholm syndrome or whatever, where you're like you've been captive so long that you don't realize you're a captive anymore.
Well, no, that's not exactly. It's not that you don't realize you're a captive. You just become sympathetic to your captors, and it's almost like you're not that anymore. You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah.
that you're in captivity. You've just instead of being somebody who was kidnapped, you're just now this person's other person. You know what I mean? It's very that's a very strange fucking situation.
Yeah, I don't know. Like when you get to I like the idea of like she comes downstairs like expecting like everything like in her mind he's dead. Like you know what I mean? Like in her mind like she was taken away. This guy's dead.
Yeah.
She doesn't know any of this shit's been happening. Like we could have it set up so like he was getting ready to like have her married off, and like you know our dude shows up at the house and the dad's just like, and I picture the dad being played like Johnny Knoxville now.
God.
But like, yeah, the dad's just like, all right, um, well, Veronica come downstairs, and like she comes down, sees him, and is like, oh my god, and the dad's just like, do you mind if like I forgot what I named the guy, and whatever our main character's name is that I've totally forgot,
Troy.
Troy. Do you mind if Troy and I have a conversation out back? And like that's when we'll make it so like the dad and him step out back, and Troy explains like you're not going to marry her and you're never going to make her happy, and no matter what like you know she'll always be blah 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 like part of the church, and you won't be able to break this ever, like saying like heinous shit that's going to trigger Troy. And Troy's just like, do you really think I care that your family's in there? Like I'm gonna kill you.
Right.
Like, and then he'll be like, well, if you kill me she'll never love you type of like conversation. And we kind of just set it up so like they're having this whole conversation, and then like should we have it so she ultimately kills her dad type of moment, like the dad just starts beating the shit out of Troy and like shoots Troy in the leg or something, like you know what I mean, like the dad just like shoots Troy for some reason or has somebody shoot Troy like and like pretty like light him up a couple times, and then the girl just like happens to like take the gun at some point or take a gun and shoot her dad. I know this is like a
Maybe. Maybe.
random flip on it,
Yeah.
because like I kind of like the idea of her just being like breaking away from like her realizing the traumas of like her life, like how she just has like a snap moment where it's like she's been taken, held captive for like 2 days. It's gone and accepted the fact that like they killed her person, and like in her final act of rebelling, like you know murders her dad.
I would be into something like that, I think. Maybe I think that could work.
Or the
I
dad
think
murders her. Like he's like, "Well, you took my angel," and bam.
right, she's useless at this point. Boom.
Don't hate that twist.
Yeah. I
It
mean, it's
would
sad because
be
then her whole existence in this story is just to die. But again,
I mean, but it's true. Doesn't
Yeah.
make it any less true. I mean, it would still make a compelling ending though. You'd be like, "Wow,
he did all this
I
work to try
can't
and
believe
rescue her.
yep, just to get nowhere." That would be pretty good.
Like she comes downstairs and is like, "Daddy, stop! I love him." And then like then she's like, "Yeah, like we had sex." You know what I mean? Like she's just like, "He was my first, blah blah blah," and that's like what triggers the dad to be like, "All right, well," just kills her. It's like you're not pure. You're not going to heaven. Like type of like mentality. And then Troy's just left like, are you fucking like that leaves Troy with like, wow. Like, what a monster. And just straight up, like, take out this dude. I think that'd be a very
I could see
impactful
that.
moment.
I
But
could see that role. I kind of like that, or hmm.
like the other idea too is like after she gets, you know, capped, Troy like and the dad like basically go at it. Like Troy straight up goes up to the, you know, is leaning over her and like we'll have it so like the guy like he's like holding her and like brushing her hair, and that's when the dad walks up and puts like the gun to the back of Troy's head, and Troy happened to have a knife on him and turns around like sticks the dude with a knife as the guy like shoots Troy in the chest, and we'll have them like all three die. You know what I mean? So that there's not like a, you don't leave
I
it
like
with
that.
anything else, and like because like all three of them are dead, the narrative then in the town so that they can save face is like lunatic ex-soldier comes to town, murder sprees all these people, kills daughter and father, and then himself. Like they spin it, the whole town spins it, and
Yeah.
like basically that's how the church can sweep all this underneath, is saying it was like a mass murderer and all this jazz, and then we'll have the nice dude ends up taking over the church, and that's like how it ends, is him spinning it, like telling on the radio like, oh, Troy Jackson comes to town. 3 days ago, a man named Troy Jackson came to town, wreaking havoc, killing over X amount of people, and finally killing the head of our church and his daughter, and then murdering himself after coercing her online or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like that.
But
Like
then,
that
like,
ending.
you know, it's left with us being like, holy shit. Like, you couldn't believe, like, this dude went through all this shit to try and like get with this girl. Like he came from everything. Like, and it's like Troy didn't have family, and like he was a fighter through and through, and all this like type of situation. Because like I don't want to leave it like a John Wick style where it's like, but he's out for revenge, and then like he's
Yeah.
gonna try
No,
and live
it's
a
end
normal
it.
life. It's like nah. This guy straight up went through all this shit, still got like revenge, but at the cost of his own life.
I think if you do that, then I think maybe definitely leave it as the daughter. Then yeah, and then maybe make her obviously like super defiant. We do it in modern age, so she has a cell phone.
Oh yeah,
So they're
yeah.
trying to like keep the shit away from her, but she has access to everything else, which is be
Mhm.
the apps and so on and so forth. And maybe you have to put her through some crazy shit. And by crazy shit, I would say maybe the dad would be like the maybe not the leader of the church, but like second hand behind whatever, and he just listens to whatever the head guy says all the time. You know, he's
Yeah.
just on his dick. He's like, I want to be like you, doing that whole shit. And then maybe he promises his daughter to him,
Wait, so you're
and
saying
as
like the dude who ends up the dad
the
is
dad, yeah.
not
So
technically a part, he's not the head of the church, but he is like a higher member of the church and has
I'd
promised the
put him
daughter
like
to the head
basically
of the
like
church.
yeah, I'd basically put him as like the second guy. You know what I mean? Like whoever the other guy goes to, whoever the other guy's gonna consider like his little bitch boy type
Mm.
shit. And maybe he promises his daughter because we can still run with all that same shit. Promises his daughter to whatever. We can figure out that guy's name later and figure out how we want to do that. And maybe make something kind of like dramatic and impactful happen where like the dad kind of realizes he's like, I don't even want my daughter anymore for the fact that
Well,
she
literally,
went
like
out with
she's
this.
corrupted. Like
Yeah,
she had sex.
she
She's
went
a
out.
sinner.
Well, I think the sex thing's okay. And the only reason I'm going to say the sex thing's okay, not with him, but sex in general there, is because they are very strange when it comes to that shit, and they don't wait till marriage to have sex
Well, yeah,
anyway.
but I think I think in this case, like I think that's like his mindset is like she's not pure for the head of the person anymore, like type of situation.
Right, right. That's kind of what I'm thinking for that too. But I think it would be a great, super dark moment to find out that the dad has been forcing her to go fuck the head of the church, and obviously he's just dumping loads into
Mm.
her and shit. And she doesn't want it, so she just constantly orders Plan B pills and shit off Amazon.
Yeah,
And
but
when the dad
how
finally
would you
comes back,
convey that in the movie? You know what I mean? Like that's a tough
which
thing to like
which
fit. Well,
which
to fit
part?
like the fact that she's been like quote unquote abused or something like that. Like where would you info dump all that stuff?
If I'm gonna put that into the movie, I would say probably at some point. maybe not. Maybe towards the end, I think it would be a good idea to kind of put it out there. Not a whole hell of a lot.
Hmm.
Actually, I think a good place to put it is she's hiding it from our main character because she's embarrassed by it and ashamed of it. But then whenever he goes to the church and has that scene where he's like running through and then running out and then has to deal with the guy in the bottom of the church,
Hmm.
still have that scene the way it is, but make obviously the main climax between the family. Let him just be like, "Why do you want her so bad?" Blah. He's like, "She's already promised to me, and she's gonna be pregnant like any day now." And then he kind of is like, "What?" He's like, "Dude, I've been fucking. Her dad promised her to me like a year ago, and we've been having sex for a year, and this stupid bitch can't even have a kid. You know what I mean? Can't even
Hmm.
conceive." And that's when you find out like she's just been popping Plan Bs like daily or whatever the fucking case may be, just to keep herself from having this dude's baby, so she could still get away without ever having to carry that with her.
Yeah. So like, I mean, essentially, yeah, but you would still have to like you can have that guy be like. So hold on, let's do a whole recap. We'll do the recap of the whole movie.
Okay.
Um, dude, fighter conversation online with this person during the credits. Like you see them having like you know Skype phone calls and stuff. Him on a plane flies out to Utah, reading about Utah. Sees on the plane all these people dressed very similarly, white shirt, black tie,
Right.
all like half the plane looks like this. Lands in the town, takes a taxi to this hotel to meet the girl. They meet up at the hotel, like they have a good time. Blah blah
Yeah.
blah. She says like, I can spend the night tonight, but tomorrow I have to go. He wakes up, she's gone. He explores the town. Like took a cab to the town, checking it out. A dude, an asshole with a group, bumps into him in a store and is just like, "You're not from around here." And the guy's like, "No, I'm here to meet somebody." And he's like, "Well," or he's like, "I'm here to meet somebody." And the guy goes, "Well, here's this," and hands him a pamphlet for the church, blah blah blah, and then
Right.
just says, "Well, you should find Christ," like whatever, blah blah blah. And then as like the group's leaving, the guy in the back's like, "Sorry about that," and they all leave. Yada yada yada. More time goes by. The guy ends up back at the hotel. She shows up. Uh, you know, they have an evening together. He takes a shower. When he comes out of the shower, the doors open and there's three guys in there, and you know, she's clearly missing. And they tell him like, "You don't belong here. You need to leave." You know, blah blah blah. And then he fights them. As he's fighting them and walks out of the hotel room, he sees a truck taking off with a license plate he can read. Goes downstairs, interrogates the front desk dude by bashing his head on the desk, takes his bat and keys, and goes to this dude's house where he sees the truck. Goes in there, sees the dude macking on like six wives, cuts
Right.
power, fights him. Neighborhood sees this dude go in there. The firing squad shows up and shoots up the building, sets it on fire. Guy hides out there. In the morning, he basically sees three people roaming the building, beats them up, traps them under the trampoline, interrogates one of them. One of them ends up being the asshole that shouldered him, and then he goes back to the. Is this where we have him go back to the hotel? I guess again, or I forget where we went earlier with this.
So yeah, we're okay. So after that scene, he gets
Oh,
little
how
more
about
info. I
he
guess we'd have
interrogates
to.
him, then he scopes out the church,
Right.
makes a
Okay.
break for the church, like has that whole walks into the church, big fight with like 30 people, makes his way to the basement, sees the head of the church there, thinks like this is the guy. The guy tells him like blah blah blah. I've been dumping loads in that chick. She's mine. Blah blah blah. Why would you think she's here? She's at home. And then that guy, takes leaves, and then 10 people jump this dude. Dude, of course, overpowers them, but gets pretty fucking hurt. Finds out like he's leaving the church. The nice dude from earlier sees him, picks him up, takes him to the house, and like, you know, tells him like, I don't support what you're doing, but you're justified, or blah blah blah. God's keeping you safe for a reason, blah blah blah. Whatever his motivation is. Guy
Right.
goes into the house. Dad's like, calls Veronica downstairs. She sees like that dude's still alive. They go out to the backyard to have a conversation. This is where like I think the dad like they're talking and the guy's like, I'm gonna like I will kill everybody here if I have to save her. And that's when the dad's like she's like, I love him, Dad. You know, that's when she said, like, he's like, but you're promised to the head of the church. And she's like, well, I've been taking Plan B so I can, like, I'm aborting
Right.
the babies. And, like, he's like, all right. And that's when he shoots her. And, like, the dude's
Yep.
like, holy fuck, he just killed his daughter. And he's like brushing her hair, being like, oh my God, no, not Veronica. And that's when the dad walks up, puts a gun to the back of his head. Our dude turns around, stabs him, and then gets shot at the same time. Like, and then they're both like, dying. And it ends up like they both die. And as it fades, like, in the, like, I guess, like, that's when the credits will roll. And that's when it's like I guess the article, like the news telling like of this dude who came to town, murdered all these people, and like murder suicided this dad and his daughter. Like that's when the media spins it. And then like there'll also be a thing where it's like now appointed to the junior head of the churches, and it's the dude, like a picture of the dude who helped him. Credits.
I like it.
And we'll call it More Human Than More Man. No,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think like you'd have to call it like I don't know, Saving Faith, something hilarious like that, like those generic like movie titles, like,
Yeah.
or like what's it called when you like leave the church? It's called
Leave the church or get kicked out,
kicked out,
excommunicated.
excommunicated. Well, what's the other one?
Yeah.
It's a Tool song, isn't it? What's like the super popular Tool song that's like do 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 schism?
Yeah, but
Isn't that thing? I don't know.
no, I don't think that.
No
No,
idea. I
no,
don't think so.
I'm 99% sure that
Yeah.
schism isn't like a getting kicked out of a church type
I
thing.
don't
You
know.
know what I mean? I don't think-
Excommunicated seems like a weird title, but anywho, I don't know. I think I dig this movie. I think it would be a cool action film to watch, and I think we successfully made a movie. Mormon was a derogatory term used by David. I
Yeah,
do
let
not
me bring me the
support
heat.
naming them Mormons, but
Yeah.
just for
I
the
do.
story habit, I have nothing against most religions. I don't care. I'm just gonna fucking. I don't give a fuck.
Me either. I just
Nobody's
know
ever gonna. Nobody's
this is
gonna
real.
fucking knows who I am. It's fine. Like 4 people listen to this, and 3 of them are here. So whatever. Fuck it.
Yeah. Who cares?
This was just another day at the movies with
David.
Adam.
and Elliott. May the force be with you. The show